installed James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America. Welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in. This is Ticket Weekends, not weeknights. Harrison Arens on the ones and twos. I'll go solo here for about an hour. Plenty of things to talk about. We have NFL playoffs, of course, some more college football playoffs, and then NFL playoffs. So, plenty of good things here. And, of course, I want to dive into Husker men's basketball as well because the men's continue their perfect start, 16-0. I believe that makes it 20 or 21-game win streak if you count the college basketball crown as they get another Big Ten road win versus the Indiana Hoosiers in a really gutsy performance. It felt a little bit like Oklahoma where they start off hot, they cool off, and then I think it got to a high lead. Let me double check here for Indiana, where they led by as much as 16 at one point in time before the Huskers were able to rally and come all the way back and steal another one on the road. So again, Huskers 16-0, they beat the Indiana Hoosiers, and that would be the fourth loss for Indiana. I believe Indiana is sitting right at 30. So technically, we'll see how things move around here, but it's right on the verge of being another quad one win for Nebraska basketball, which just adds to the collection. I think one of those teams moved out, so I don't think we're looking at 5-0 anymore unless you add this Indiana team. But undefeated, 16-0. We'll get a little bit of the box score. Like I said, the first half was more Indiana, especially down the stretch there. The last 7 minutes, it was pretty much Indiana doing most of the damage, taking control of the game. The Huskers were outscored in that first half, 30-39. Second half, though, the Huskers respond the same way they usually do, 53-28 to storm ahead and take back that lead. Few key guys in this one. And for anybody who watched it, you know for certainly that we're going to talk about Braden Frager, who had another just incredible game off the bench. 19 minutes, was very effective with those 19 minutes, though. Rink Mast actually was not his best game, but he had just that poise multiple times at the end there as well. The one guy I really want to start off with, though, is Jamarcus Lawrence. He's played well at versus Indiana in that court, and it was no different this time. In 37 minutes of play, he dropped 27 points, 8 of 13, only missing 5 shots. He was 5 for 8 from the three-point line and only missed a couple of free throws, 6 for 8 from there. And some of the best things about it, he also gives you 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and only 1 turnover on the entire night, along with 3 steals. I think if you go look at the plus-minus rating, which, you know, if you're not super into the analytics, advanced analytics, I get it, but it was above and by way when Jamarcus Lawrence was in that ball game versus Indiana on Saturday. This team was just in its prime to do a lot better than without him on the court. Especially when you didn't have Rink Mast really finding his stride until later in the game. And even later in the game, it was like one big-time 3 and then just some really good post moves. You know, it's nice to see a little bit of old school Rink Mast where he's bringing back that nice little hook shot. But again, he was not much of a factor in terms of offense early in that game. He was doing the right things. You could argue that he was doing a good job keeping the spacing there, but he was having a hard time knocking things down. Like I said, his 3-point percentage in that one, he was 1 for 7. I think it might have been one of the worst 3-point shooting games we've seen from him in a while. He did take 7. You know, you could maybe look at 1 or 2 that you would have maybe liked for him to take back, but it wasn't a bunch of bad selection threes. I thought he did a really good job on his shot selection. Things just weren't dropping for him, which is going to happen. But that's why it all goes to the more credit of what Jamarcus Lawrence was able to do for this team. And that's why I think this team is successful as it is. I know I've talked about it before, but whether it's going to be Rink Mast or in this case, it was Jamarcus Lawrence, we've seen some big games from Sam Hoiberg. Even Berke Berjutengel has his moments. And then Cale Jacobson. Yeah, I think there's like a crazy stat. We're 21-0 when Cale Jacobson plays more than 10 minutes on the floor. And of course, it's a little bit cherry picking, but also part of it, Cale Jacobson deserves some credit. And a lot of these guys on this team do. When they come off the bench, they play that same brand of basketball. It's what we unfortunately complain about with football. And maybe we're wrong. Hopefully, we head into next season with football. We got our quarterback in Cole Andrea, a couple more of the portal pieces. But you still kind of question, is excited as we can be. And I think we should be. We don't know exactly what the brand Nebraska football is and wants to be quite yet. Maybe they know inside the locker room. Maybe the coaches know. Maybe even Jordan Annan, the athletic director, knows. But as fans, you can correct me if I'm wrong, 402-464-5685, but I couldn't exactly tell you what the identity of Nebraska football is. And maybe they figure that out. Maybe next year's awesome. But when I'm comparing it to basketball, that's what I mean. Basketball, I could tell you exactly what Fred Hoiberg and this team wants to do night in, night out. The game plan doesn't look different in terms of how they operate offensively. Maybe they'll run a few different sets here and there, or on defense, if there's certain things happen, they might break into a 1-3-1, which we saw. I believe that one was the road game versus Ohio State, where they broke into that 1-3-1. But for the most part, it stays the same. It does not look drastically different from when we played Winthrop to when we played Indiana, or Ohio State, or Michigan, or Illinois. The offense, the players, whether it's the bench guys having the bigger night, or if it's the starting five lineup, the brand that they're playing does not look wildly different. It's, once again, they're going to kind of play the math game where they're going to take a lot of 3-point shots. That's the only thing they're going to allow you on the other end as well. They're going to really take away baseline. They do a good job, probably one of the better rotating defenses out there in the country. And I think Windsor obviously deserves a ton of credit for that. But also, once again, they know exactly what that brand wants to be, and they know how they want to play defense. And that all goes back to the identity that I think gives you a lot of confidence that this is not a fluke. I know you see some crazy comments out there. I know one knucklehead was out there saying, there's a segment, Nebraska basketball fraudulent or not. And he has the line of, I don't know if it's quite an Elite 8 team yet. Well, apparently, if you're fraudulent, it's Elite 8 or bust. You have this conversation, and Freddie Hoiberg talked about it. I'd play the audio, but he's got some explicitives in there. Not in the press conference, but in the locker room to his team of about how the narrative continues to be Nebraska might be 16-0, but a bit of an overhyped record. And he keeps challenging with the guys with that, and they respond really well every single time. They control their seeding at this point. I mean, to be this early in the season, and although it's not early, but you're cutting into that midway point a little bit after that midway point, you already racked up 16 wins. You got 2 road wins in the Big Ten, which we can use the example of Michigan and Penn State the other night. I believe that was Thursday night, where Michigan, who's been blowing everybody out by the likes of 40 points, 30 points, not a bad night, 20 points. And we're talking ranked opponents, whether it's Gonzaga or give them another Big Ten opponent, or even Rutgers. I think the Rutgers games where they outscored them by like 40. And the Michigan team was unstoppable, and they were doing it all non-conference. They were doing it early at their home venues, and they get into Big Ten play, and it looked mostly the same all the way up until they had a little bit of a scare with Penn State. And Penn State, who you could argue, just looking at the records, is the worst team in the Big Ten for their Big Ten conference play, but also just their non-con as well. You can make the argument one of the worst Big Ten teams out there this year, and they only lost to Michigan by 2 points at home. So anytime you can still those road games, it's a big deal. It's nothing to overlook. Indiana, good team. Like I said, I believe in the net rankings, they're sitting right around that 30 mark. So it's going to be a good chance for a quad 1 win if Indiana basketball continues to improve their season after their loss to us. And in worst case scenario, I think it slips into that quad 2. That's another huge time win for you to put in your book for Nebraska basketball, as more signs that you're just heading in the right direction. And they got another challenge up here with Oregon, more for the fact that it's a quick turnaround more than it is a road game or an incredibly tough game. Oregon's probably middle of the pack in the Big Ten this year, but you really like Nebraska's odds because they've just done well at home. And going back to the Michigan and Penn State games, like whoever has that home court advantage in the Big Ten through, I couldn't tell you when it hasn't been like that, but it's just always been incredibly tough. You'll see the worst Big Ten teams year in, year out still have really good home court records. And that is the challenge of the Big Ten. So to steal a game versus Illinois, a really good Illinois team on the road, and then to double down with a road game versus Ohio State, and then to triple down with a road game versus Indiana. I mean, that is 3 Big Ten road game wins already taken advantage of, and then just puts them in a really, really good spot. We always talk about 20 being that magical number for majority of Big Ten teams, especially if you got a good enough non-con schedule to support you, to be good enough to squeak into that tournament with just 20 wins. Given that you have enough of the quad 1 wins or enough quad 2 wins, you got to really rack them up there to make an argument for yourself if you're one of those lesser Big Ten teams who just got close and sniffed around 20 wins. And again, I just go back. They're at 16 already. It is January 11th, 2026, and Nebraska basketball already has 16 wins on the men's side. Just really awesome stuff. And then, of course, the women, they only got a couple losses as well, but they've been playing really good basketball. Shout out to Sam Hoiberg. Sam Hoiberg did the color commentary for one of their games. I believe their last one versus Indiana, and I think he's on the board to do some more. So Sam Hoiberg is getting into that journalism career as well, while also having a stellar career on the court. And I encourage you, go give it a listen. It's really cool what he's doing. It's one of the things with the Troy Dannon, the athletic director. I don't know if he deserves all the credit for this or, if it's all the coaches that are there already, but it is cool to see these athletes support those other athletes. And when you talk to, a lot of the student athletes I do on weeknights, you do hear a lot of that camaraderie where they see each other enough at training table. I know Matt Rule with his football team, I know we heard about last year, made a big emphasis for his guys to show up and support the other athletic groups. We have the opportunity to talk to the tennis program, the basketball program, volleyball program as well. Shout out to Jalen Reyes, who does shows on Tuesday nights. And then we just had John Baylor in here, who does the play-by-play for Husker volleyball, as well as ontocollege.com if you're looking to fix that ACT score. But it's a really cool community. And it's nice to see them when they root for each other. And when the winter sports are this good, I mean, that's just the cherry on top. Women's basketball, like I said, they're not undefeated, but they look still plenty good enough to go ahead and make a run for March Madness, or at least very least punch their ticket in there if things continue the way they're doing. Husker basketball, you're looking at a upper 95% chance of, unless things go catastrophically wrong, you feel great about their ability to punch their ticket and maybe finally make some history and be that first team to just go ahead and win that March Madness tournament. And no longer does Nebraska basketball have to be alone on that graphic that gets shown every single year of which Power 4 teams have yet to win a March Madness game, or what's the longest streak. And obviously it's always Nebraska, because Nebraska is the only Power 4 program to have not won a March Madness tournament game. And I would like to do it this year. Hopefully, if we can, without jinxing things, because the way they talk about this March Madness, and you could throw in the college football playoffs, is they just want to extend this thing out. I know there was rumors about the March Madness tournament and extending that thing out and making in who knows how many teams now. If they do that, it's going to feel, you want to get this while the format is still the same. I would hate for the format to change and then Nebraska basketball finally get their first March Madness tournament win. And especially a year like this, because again, I got to keep knocking on wood because I don't want to jinx this team, but they're sitting there as a 1, 2, 3, 4 seed if things continue the way they're going right now. And that creates a very great matchup, a matchup that you would hope that Nebraska could finally get over the hump and just not be alone on that graphic and let somebody else deal with having the longest drought of not winning a March Madness tournament game. We've held it the entire time of our existence. I think it's fair enough to go ahead and pass that title along to someone else. But it's just been really impressive. I mean, if you even just go back to Fred Hoiberg early in his career, I mean, there was a little bit of a time window there where people wanted him fired. COVID didn't help. COVID, I thought, really dismantled his ability to recruit and put together a good roster. And you saw that with a lot of programs across all sports, not just basketball. I mean, when you're a program that is trying to figure out its foundation and you don't have that history that you can lean on and a lot of greats That's kind of where Nebraska basketball was, where Danny Nee was a great coach, obviously, Tim Miles, but there's still that big window of lacking in the history books. Although we've had some really great teams, and again, I got no disrespect to some of the coaches that have gotten some good success here in Nebraska, but when you go through COVID and you're a program that doesn't really have any of that legacy or history to lean on, and you got to try to put together a roster with limited visits, limited time to be able to practice or even talk or just go outside and go see some of the talent, that makes it brutal. And I think you saw that with Scott Frost, and I think you saw that with Fred Hoiberg, because the football program was in a very similar spot where it had a ton of history and legacy, but it's been a long time before any of that really equated to on the field. And you saw that with Fred Hoiberg because he got down here in 2018 as well, right along with Scott Frost. It was hard for them to kind of rebuild the roster through the midst of that. And it was a little bit of a reset for both of them. And that is the one where I know a lot of people have grievances for Scott Frost and his coaching ability down here, or what he thought he did, or what you thought he should have done more of. And same thing for Fred Hoiberg. And I know a lot of people are obviously coming around to Fred Hoiberg and love him as their head coach. But that was brutal for both those programs. And both those programs felt like had to hit a little bit of a reset. And it wasn't too far away from, we're looking at seasons with Nebraska basketball where these guys aren't sniffing 10 wins. Take the non-con out of it. Big Ten, we, barely get a few wins at all. In the non-con, that was basically where we did our cleanup. And it was kind of a long season. Like, if you go look at 2018, 19, 20, we're looking at this point in the season, just kind of hoping like maybe we can sneak in there as, the last four to get, go ahead and play in, or at the very best, like maybe we can get in there if we go ahead and try to win the Big Ten tournament and just force our way in there. And now this isn't even a conversation. You just got to win enough regular season games for the men and the women's. And those guys will absolutely punch their ticket. It's just been awesome for the winter sports to be this fun. And like I said, the next one coming up here, I do want to double check because I think it's Oregon and I think it's at home. Yes, they get Oregon. Like I said, a little bit of a quick turnaround. They get them on the 13th. So it'll be Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. They will face Oregon. Oregon is currently 8-8. They're 1-4 in Big Ten play. Like I said, Oregon is middle of the tier, bottom tier of Big Ten play right now. I thought they were better. Maybe they'll kind of get back into that middle tier of the Big Ten, but as of now, with the 1-4 Big Ten record, you kind of know how they sit. Their notable games so far have, not been great. Although I do want to give them a little bit of credit. They did have number 7 Gonzaga early in the year. They don't win it, but they at least pushed them for a bit there. 91-82 in that loss. They do have another loss versus number 21 ranked Auburn, number 24 ranked USC. But the USC game, it was pretty close. 82-77. Yeah, it's just been a really tough year. Their stretch they're in right now, once they really got in the full swing of Big Ten play, they started with a road win, which was huge for them. Felt like maybe they're going to be able to turn their season around a little bit versus Maryland. But then they went on the road to lose to Rutgers, and then they just lost another one at home versus Ohio State. Their most notable wins are, you probably throw that Maryland game in there. Otherwise, it has not been great. They've had a few stretches this year where they've racked up a few losses in a row. Their worst stretch being when they started off facing number 21 Auburn, and that kind of set up a run where they lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight in a row before kind of getting back on track with UC Davis. But 8-8, oh yeah, they're 14th in the Big Ten, so they are officially in that bottom tier with that Big Ten record, just sitting at 500 overall. And if you go look at some of their guys, it's a little bit of a spread scoring attack. They don't really just have one guy that's going to dominate and take over. Same thing with rebounds. It is kind of pretty much Evans Jr. who's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. And if you can get rid of that forward, Evans Jr., who I think that's probably going to be the matchup to watch, is how does Nebraska handle that? That's probably going to be the challenge for Rank Mass, Burke, Bear, Euctangel. They've pleasantly been surprising on doing pretty well in the rebounding battle. I know Ohio State, I was wondering what that'd look like, and I think they just about drew there. And this last one versus Indiana, same story. They did once again hold their own on the glass. And, it's a team that's playing 5 out a lot. So every now and then they're fortunate to get a long rebound, but at the same time, they're not sending a ton of guys to go crash the boards, and they probably don't have the height advantage, especially when Burke Berukengel isn't out there. Rinkamas, great player. He's a veteran, but not the biggest guy out there. But it's the Sam Hoibergs coming down there and crashing. We talked about Jamarcus Lawrence versus Indiana. He comes down there. He'll give you 5 rebounds. And you got a litany of guys, even Gail Jacobson. And then Braden Frager, who I'll have to start off the next segment with before we dive into a little bit of Husker wrestling as well and continue what has just been a really great run for our winter sports. But then guys like Braden Frager, who had just an incredible offensive rebound for anyone who watched that game versus Indiana, when the game was kind of in the balance where you weren't sure who was going to be able to pull away or make that next run or force the other team into another drought. And it was a tough miss. Braden Frager just hits a grown man's rebound, one palms it over the guy's head, and then gets an easy putback for 2 points. And that kind of really put the pressure on Indiana from there on out. And Braden Frager just continued to dominate. And we'll talk about what he did there down the stretch. Don't go anywhere. Ticket Weekends. Harrison Arens going solo. Got 2 more segments on the other side. And of course, I'll be joined by Jeff and Nicole for Fitness Fanatics. I'm trying to stay off the Chicago Bears because if anybody's listened to me long enough, they know I'm a Chicago Bears fan. Last night was awesome. Might be why I'm a little bit tired this morning because I had to calm down the emotions before I get myself officially tuckered out and down in their bed. So I'm trying to push that off because obviously Nicole's a Packers fan. Jeff's a Bears fan. So we'll probably dive into that. I can almost guarantee we'll dive into that when we get to the top of the other hour. Don't go anywhere. Ticket Weekends, Harrison Arens on the 1s and 2s. I'll be back in a little bit right here on 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
MHC isn't a new company, just a new name. Moe's Moving is now Moe's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can handle your commercial moves as well. MHC Moving has 0 hidden fees. You'll never pay for same-day booking or be charged for stairs, heavy items, or elevator fees. Rates are the same Monday through Saturday, and you will never pay a truck or fuel surcharge. And they offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com. Big value and big flavor meet at Wings and Rings thanks to the all-new delicious Duo Combo. This is the one you've been waiting for. Get 1 half-sized appetizer and 2 entrees with a side for only $19.99. Bring a friend for the best deal in town on any day of the week, during game time, or whenever the heck you want. Their made-to-order wings and chicken sandwiches are waiting for you at their 68th and O and 40th and Old Cheney locations. Stop by Wings and Rings and celebrate every day with the best meal deal in town.
Are you tired of living in pain? At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, they make it simple. From head to toe, spine to extremities, they've got you covered. Their multi-specialty team of experts in orthopedic surgery, plastic surgery, podiatry, physical therapy, and occupational therapy all work under one roof to get you back to living life pain-free. Don't wait another day. Visit prairie-ortho.com today or call them at 402-489-4700. Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins.
It's the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 16th through the 18th at the Sandhills Global Event Center in Lincoln. Come see trophy deer, hunting seminars, hunting and outdoor exhibitors, a 3D archery tournament, enter the blind giveaway, and more. The Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, presented by Whitetail Properties Real Estate, January 16th, 17th, and 18th. Learn more at nebraskadeerandgameexpo.com and find them on Facebook. Come to the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 16th through the 18th in Lincoln.
Change begins with you. Join a weight loss medication study at Solarion and earn cash in the process. If you are 19 to 65 years old with excess weight to lose, you may qualify. Participants could earn up to $22,750 for their time. Study includes 1 2-night stay, 1 3-night stay, and 38 returns. Learn more at helpresearch.com/flamingo or call 866-213-2965. Weight loss not guaranteed.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Just got the brakes fixed on my car today.
You did? You haven't even left the office.
I didn't need to. I got a guy who picks up my car and drops it off when it's done.
Who's your guy?
Graham Tire. They have pickup and delivery service at all 5 of their Lincoln locations.
Schedule your service online on the Pickup and Delivery tab at GrahamTireLincoln.com. That's GrahamTireLincoln.com. Let us do the running. Some limitations apply. See store for details.
Tomorrow is about the lessons we learn today. A farmer's market teaches us that community is grown together. Kids laughing shows us how joy is easy. And coffee on the porch reminds us to savor every moment. These are the lessons that shape a tomorrow we all share. One filled with trust, good company, and wide open dreams. That's the way banking should be. And that's Pinnacle Bank. Member FDIC.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. Harrison Arens still on the ones and twos. We still got 2 more segments to go here. You guys are welcome to join in. 402-464-5685, talking some Husker basketball. And then I want to dive into a little bit of Husker wrestling as well. Before we get to Fitness Fanatics, we got Jeff and Nicole Essink, the host as always. They'll be joining us at the top of the hour. On Husker Hoops, pretty much went through everything. What was at stake, how important it was winning another Big Ten road game, stealing that one from Indiana on the road. And went through some of the guys. Obviously, huge game from Jamarcus Lawrence, a 27-point game, an incredibly high-efficient 27-point game at that as well. But Braden Frager, I mean, he has just been really huge down the stretch in quite a few of these games. For a guy who's really just starting to get his real run this season, he's just had multiple moments where, I mean, down the stretch, he hit a big-time 3, along with a poster at the end of the time when you might have said, let's just go ahead and bleed clock. Frager sees a matchup that he likes, just takes him off the dribble and hits an awesome 2-handed finish. But he's just a guy to watch out for. I mean, his stock is going to continue to rise with the ability that he's able to play with. And I do want to go to that box score. Just lost it for him. I'm going to pull up that box score one more time so we can get the full effect of how good he was in that game. Because again, he's not playing 25 minutes even, or anywhere near 30 minutes. And what he's able to do on the shorter minutes that he's been getting has been awesome. So 19 minutes in this game versus Indiana, and he has 11 points in those 19 minutes. He's 4 for 9, so he's efficient there. The 3-point shot, you could maybe, argue a little bit less of those, but when he's feeling it, it does look great. And he had a few heat checks, and you can allow it in this one, but that's pretty much the only spot he was missing was from 3. He was 1 for 5 from 3, made everything inside 2-point range, but he gives you 4 rebounds, 1 steal, 2 rebounds, and 0 turnovers. And those 11 points he had all felt absolutely needed. And he's just had an uncanny ability to step up off the bench in really big moments. And he's becoming a little bit of a fan favorite. Obvious reasons. He's a Nebraska native, so you're going to want to root for him. But, I mean, for how many guys that we've had be successful elsewhere out of this state, it's nice to see a guy in Braden Frager who stayed home, and we're seeing the results of what looks like a really confident player. And only 19 minutes, like I said, and he played phenomenal with all 19. Keel Jacobson was the other guy. He played 20 minutes, and he gives you 7 points. He was 2 for 2, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 turnovers, and a steal. Just a really efficient game from him as well. All right, let's get a little bit to the wrestling side, though, because they also had a really great weekend. They had Purdue on Friday. You liked Nebraska's odds heading into it. Purdue had some guys. You're maybe looking at 1 to 2 weight classes, but you never have those things happen. Every now and then they can upset the first one and maybe they start going on a run. But you did not see that whatsoever. Only lost one match the entire night on Friday, and that was at 165. But, you were happy to see that at that 125, it's a weight class we keep talking about when we talk about Husker wrestling. Who's going to step up and take that? You had another good showing from Kohler. Kohler goes out there and he gets it done, and they win that one. So he gets 3 points. Up next, 133, Jacob Van D gets the win. Up next, you get Brock Hardy. He extends the win. And then you get Chance Lamer. Nice to see him back out there again. He's obviously was not back all the way until Oklahoma State. Then he was able to go out there and, unfortunately, versus Oklahoma State, maybe shaking off the rust a little bit, getting back into it. You could argue maybe one of the biggest crowds that he's had to compete in. He fell short in that one. And Oklahoma State is a very, very good team. They'll have some guys certainly in some of those weight classes when they get down to nationals. Or, excuse me, I should say the NCAA championships. But moving on from Chance Lamer, and then you had Antrell Taylor. Taylor had just probably the most dominant match all night. He absolutely dominant. And it's good to see him early in the year after, it wasn't even Oklahoma State. It was earlier than that. He kind of struggled. And I think, in those national duels, you start to hear a little bit of the conversation of like, well, what's wrong with Antrell Taylor? And maybe people were starting to doubt him a little bit more than they should have for how early it was in the season. And the guys tell this all the time, whether it's Caleb Smith, Ridge Lovett, or if Mark Manning comes in studio himself, it does not really matter what you look like here. Now, it's not an excuse to look terrible, but as long as that's not the final product, you can handle a loss or maybe a couple. As long as you're not racking it up and you're racking up bad habits, you just want to peak at the right time. And Antrell Taylor so far, he looks vastly different. He just continues to look better and better, a lot like he did last year when he made it to that national championship match and ended up winning it. You're starting to see that Antrell Taylor again. And I think it's just a little bit of time of working back into it, getting back into the flow of things. And again, Nebraska wrestling, it's tough. If you're in the Big Ten, it's tough. And especially when you're in Nebraska and you're scheduling your non-cons to be Oklahoma State. It's always going to be an ability to get caught by someone if you were not 100% locked in. Even if you are 100% locked in, this conference is just really, really good. The teams that we schedule year in, year out, they're going to give even the best people challenges. You're going to have a lot of top 25 matchups. So I think there's a little bit of panic there for those who were not super familiar with just the wrestling, how good the wrestling is in the Big Ten. Is how I should phrase that. But he looked awesome. So I want to shout out to him. Antrell Taylor, he dominates on that one. And LJ was actually the only one to actually take the loss on the night. The only points Purdue would get all night came at 165. And then, of course, Minto cleans up. Silas Allred does his work. Camden McDaniel does his. And then AJ Ferrari. All good enough for a 36-3 victory. Really good to see them playing this good at this point in time. Because coming up next year, again, we talked about this before. These guys have an absolute gauntlet. Now they have a road one, and that one is also a pretty quick turnaround, January 16th. So they do get till Friday, but that one is on the road versus Minnesota. Then they're back at home versus Iowa, and then they're at home versus Ohio State, and then on the road versus Penn State. I mean, Iowa, Ohio State, Penn State right there. You can make the argument, counting Nebraska, that's like 1, 2, 3, and 4. Maybe Oklahoma State sneaks in there this year and they take the 4th spot. But that is some of the, if not the best wrestling colleges, all in a heap of 3. And Minnesota is nothing to kind of gloss over either. They're a great program as well. But when you're looking at Iowa, Ohio State, and Penn State, that is a really tall order. So that's why I think it's huge to see those guys do as well as they did versus Purdue. Hopefully they can double it down against Minnesota on the road on Friday. And if they can do that, you feel a lot better about this stretch. Because not only is that going to be great competition, that's just taxing on the body. They have that many great opponents all lined up like that. And, after that, it cools down a little bit with Northwestern, Illinois, Indiana, and Utah Valley. But then you're to 2026 Big Ten wrestling championships already. So there's only 1, 2, 3, 3 chances left if you want to watch this team at home. And that is Iowa, Ohio State, and Northwestern. And obviously versus Ohio State, they hope to get a little get back. Iowa, they have not faced yet this year. So that'll be the first time on January 23rd. They will get a look at Iowa. And of course, January 25th, going back to the national duels. And I reference that a lot because you go look at those national duels, there's a lot of repeat opponents. Those are a lot of teams that are going to be there when you get to postseason play. The Oklahoma State, who we got a firsthand look at down there. Ohio State, who we also got a firsthand look at down there. Lehigh will have some people as well. Obviously, Penn State was really the only really good team that did not attend that one. Iowa was in there as well, although we did not end up facing them. But Ohio State, I'll just say it nicely. They absolutely buried us in that one. There was a tough moment for Nebraska wrestling. They were already a little bit banged up, so that didn't do any favors, although it's not the excuse for everything. You got to have that next man up mentality. But Ohio State really showed their teeth in that tournament. And I know DP was down there, and he talked about how different those guys looked from just last season. And again, DP, he traveled to quite a few locations with the wrestling team. He was familiar with a lot of those teams. So when he said that, and then you go look at the results of what happened with Ohio State and Nebraska, it adds up. So again, there's a good opportunity for a little bit of revenge there for Nebraska, and you do get them at home, which is a big deal. The attendance for these wrestling matches has been great this year. I keep encouraging people to go there because, the more people that are there, the better the experience is. But you're starting to see that place fill up more and more. It was attendance record with Oklahoma State. Even some of the lesser matches are pulling in 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people. And you only got 3 left. Iowa will be electric for obvious reasons. Ohio State, same thing there. And then, what did it say? Northwestern, I believe. Yes, Northwestern. That's the last one at home. Go check them out. It is cheap tickets. The parking does not scare anyone. My parents could handle it, and they're from a small town in northeast Nebraska. They'd be able to get in and out of there without any fear of having to deal with the monsoon of traffic. And it's a really good program. What Mark Manning has put together with that staff, and obviously James Green, everybody else on that staff, and all the national champions that continue to go down there and help out with that program. They put on a spectacle. They got the tunnel walk, the elevated mat, which I can't emphasize enough how much better of a viewing experience that is when you can actually have the elevated mat, so everyone can kind of see the footwork. Because when you're sitting there and it's just on the ground, and depending on where you're at, it's not always the best opportunity to see what's all going on there. They do a good job, and every now and then intermission, they'll put something fun up there. Obviously, you can drink now at the Bob. That's what you want to do: hang out and have a beverage. All able to do that, and those guys go out there and fight. AJ Ferrari, he looked really good versus Purdue, so I know a lot of people are excited about him. If you want to get an opportunity, check out AJ Ferrari, check out Antrell Taylor, some of these other guys that are really, maybe starting to get in that conversation of can they go get a national championship? And now's the year, and you'll have more years down the stretch, but it feels like we're kind of, I don't want to disrespect it by saying in that Nebraska basketball where there's a kind of a new feeling because Husker wrestling has been so good. But because of the last year, what they were able to do, get second place overall and then have a couple national champions, the first national champions since Jordan Burroughs, there's a little bit of that feeling. That's new for at least the younger fans. So check it out. I'll throw it to break here, though, but I want to highlight just how awesome the winter's been. Women's basketball, men's basketball. Bowling's going to get rolling up here again. And, of course, the golf, they're getting ready for the spring season. But wrestling and basketball, those two have just been really incredible for the fans' viewing experience in these last 2 weeks. Don't go anywhere. We'll throw it to break one more time here. Again, Ticket Weekends, not weeknights with Harrison Arens. Got one more segment. I will talk to you guys on the other side.
All right, fellas, it's January. You're setting goals, you're hitting the gym, but have you checked what's going on inside the engine? At Advanced Medical Imaging, the Wellness Within program makes it easy. They have different levels of preventive scans so you can choose exactly what fits your health goals. From quick baseline checks to full body insights. It's simple, it's smart, and it's all about keeping you in top form before problems ever sneak up. And the best part, you don't need a doctor's order. Just call AMI to schedule and make this the year you put your health on the schedule.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or Whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Just got the brakes fixed on my car today.
You did? You haven't even left the office.
I didn't need to. I got a guy who picks up my car and drops it off when it's done.
Well, who's your guy?
Graham Tire. They have pickup and delivery service at all 5 of their Lincoln locations.
Schedule your service online on the Pickup and Delivery tab at GrahamTireLincoln.com. That's GrahamTireLincoln.com. Let us do the running. Some limitations apply. See store for details.
Tired of your furnace running overtime this winter? Let Heartland of Nebraska Windows save the day. Upgrade to stunning, energy-saving triple-pane vinyl windows installed by their team of experts. Every window comes with a lifetime warranty on everything, all for a price you can actually afford. Free estimates, flawless replacements, and peace of mind from a family-owned business you can trust. Don't wait. Call Heartland of Nebraska Windows at 402-430-3852 or visit heartlandofnebraskawindows.com today.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Make your next event unforgettable with Grazing Gouda, your local artists and experts in charcuterie and grazed tables. From boardrooms to ballrooms, they turn gatherings into experiences with stunning spreads of artesian cheeses, cured meats, fresh fruits, and gourmet bites. Perfect for corporate luncheons, weddings, parties, or any celebration that deserves a wow moment. They handle the details. You take the compliments. Book your graze table today at GrazingGouda.com. Grazing Gouda, because every event deserves to be savored.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
Anderson Ford in Lincoln has 2 convenient locations, which means 2 times the customer service, 2 times the inventory, and 2 times the ability to get you in the car of your dreams. Whether you visit us on the north side or the south side, you'll find more selection and a team that's always on your side. When you're looking for a better way to buy your next Ford, visit Anderson Ford in Lincoln, where exceptional service meets unbeatable selection.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sartor Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at SartorHeyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment. Harrison Arns still in the ones and twos. We got a little bit of time here left before I go ahead and wrap things up this Sunday morning. I shouldn't say wrap things up. Before we get to the next show on Sunday morning, Fitness Fanatics. Let's talk a little bit of NFL here. We did have the first round all, but just a few games here before we're all said and done already. Just going over it right now. Obviously, Saturday, you had the Rams-Panthers. Rams win that one over the Panthers. Panthers give up a good fight, though. That was pretty close. I think a lot closer than anyone would have liked to give the Panthers credit for heading into it. And even able to get, a little bit of a run there going. But the Rams pulled off 34-31. And then the other game between the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. That one, another classic. I think that one last night, for anyone who missed it, will probably be an NFL instant classic. It was a lot of fun. Some might say it was a shame they only played 3 times, because every single time they did, it was absolute cinema. Really fun stuff there. So what we got left today is we're still waiting. Obviously, the 1 seeds, your AFC champs, the Broncos, they're hanging out. They're not doing anything today. Same thing with your Seattle Seahawks on the NFC side. Then you got the Bills and Jags, Chargers, Patriots, Texans, Steelers, and actually, I think that Texans Steelers. Yeah, apologies. That is your Monday night football game, is between your number 5 seed Texans and your number 4 seed Steelers. And then, of course, you got the 49ers and the Eagles. So you got 1 game left on the NFC side, and you got 3 games left on the AFC side. Of course, the Texans Steelers, though, those guys will not play until Monday, January 12th. I don't think this is a year anyone has a really good idea on who the favorite should be at this point. You might have thought it was the Rams heading into it, and they cooled off a little bit down the stretch of the regular season. And the Panthers got hot. So maybe you respect the Panthers a lot, and you look at that as like, you know what, that's a pretty good win. That team's better than a lot of people would like to even give them credit for. 49ers maybe looked like they were peaking at the right moment. I know that Chicago Bears game, they absolutely lit it up. Brock Purdy, he looked awesome. And turn around right after that, and they just looked completely different. The Eagles, I think the Eagles you just can't take out of the equation. They're defending champs. They kind of feel a little bit inevitable, where, if anyone in this group has any experience of making championship postseason play, it's the Rams and Eagles and 49ers. The Eagles have it as the most recent, though. And most of that roster is still intact. They might not like each other as much as they did last season. Maybe that's a little bit blown out of proportion with the media, but you don't like to count those guys out. Again, they are the defending national champs. I don't want to belittle their title. And of course, the Texans, one of the best defenses heading into it, versus the Steelers. Steelers, I couldn't tell you where all their problems are. Aaron Rodgers could be a legacy run for him if he's able to make some magic happen. Unfortunately for him, he's going up against what has been the most stellar defenses all year. And you got an immobile quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, who's got the wherewithal to get rid of it if he needs to, or barely make some sacrificial throws and just absorb the hit. But that is the defense that I'd imagine is going to be pretty ears pinned back. And then you got the miracle story with Mike Vrabel and versus the Chargers. Vrabel, he could be coach of the year along with Ben Johnson, along with Liam Cohn. There's a litany of guys you could probably pick this year. We'll see. The Patriots have the best record, although they also had one of the easiest schedules. And I'm not calling them fraudulent, but it's just something to take a look at if you're trying to figure out who you like in that one. And of course, the Bills and Jaguars. Jaguars have been red hot down the stretch here. So as much as I want to give it to the Bills, I might go with the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars down the stretch have been one of the best teams in the NFL, and they're not just winning games. They've been dominating in a lot of these on their way into postseason play. So with all that being said, I will go ahead and get things out of here. We do have Fitness Fanatics coming up. I imagine we got a very upset Nicole Essing and a very optimistic Jeff Essing, because we're going to definitely talk NFL playoffs at the very least. Appreciate you guys listening. Don't go anywhere, though. Like I said, we'll keep things rolling here on A Ticket Sunday. I am Harrison Arens. It's going to wrap things up for myself, but we'll keep it rolling here. Don't go anywhere.
All right, fellas, it's January. You're setting goals, you're hitting the gym, but have you checked what's going on inside the engine? At Advanced Medical Imaging, the Wellness Within program makes it easy. They have different levels of preventive scans so you can choose exactly what fits your health goals, from quick baseline checks to full body insights. It's simple, it's smart, and it's all about keeping you in top form